It's good to start a business out of your likes and interests, but it's even better when you know the trends that are expected to prosper in 2014. So here to tell us what we should keep our eyes on in the coming year is Mr. Paulo Tibig. He is the president of vCargo Worldwide. He's also an advocate and professional speaker on entrepreneurship. Hi, Paulo. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Ria.
And of course, a Happy New Year to you.
Yes, same. Same also. Happy New Year to everyone.
We're here to ask you, what are the big entrepreneurial trends we can expect in 2014? What are your top 5?
First, previously I have this, what I call as convenience concept. So it's like everything now is in with mobility. But at this point for 2014, just recently came from an Asia Pacific conference wherein what we're going to discuss right now is about the M-commerce thing. So ano the M-commerce thing na to? Previously, we have also taken to look at e-commerce and its growth potential every year, year in, year out. Now, what's M-commerce? Maybe it will be a very good, an interesting topic to discuss for 2014. So it's a next generation e-commerce thing wherein internet users will not anymore find a place to plug in. So ibig sabihin, mas madali na. Everything will now be mobile on our pocket. Now, the trend right now in the other countries, especially in Asia Pacific, is that more and more people are leading into such business. Would you believe that in China alone, there are about 500 million netizens? So that's a huge potential for negosyo. So in the Philippines, it's still growing at a phase that we would like to see that's going to grow, and grow. So how do we lead that to the M-commerce thing? First, because there's an increase netizens in the country. Second, most of us, probably lahat tayo, di ba? 85 minutes devoted, at least based on statistics, is given to social media networks. So it's a huge marketplace right now for e-commerce thing. And then the top 5 lists in the cross-border, meaning inter-country, no, at least in Asia, one is garments with 12 billion US dollars business. Second are cosmetics. Third are gadgets. Fourth, appliances. And lastly, fashion accessories. So Filipinos now tend to see and take a look at this opportunity wherein they can get into business, start with business 2014, even at home base. So this just first. Now the second is about mobility also. I'm talking about mobile concept, wherein the convenience of a negosyo, product, services into our doorstep, which is happening right now. In fact, the food truck business also in the country right now is booming. But in other countries, it's not. It's have been there for so many years already. So in the country, talk about mobility kasi it has a lot of advantages for negosyantes also to get into. First, less stress versus a brick and mortar shop. Second, less investment. Third, probably less manpower. Fourth, probably less documentation, permits taken, etc. So that's the second. And then you go into, I call this as anything or ATM everything. Now, maybe I've seen cupcakes, no? Probably in the next few years, in the next months to come, we will see cupcake being dispensed in ATM. And it's happening right now in other countries, especially in the US. In Japan, not just ATM, even flowers, jewelries, shoes can now be dispensed through ATM. So Filipinos now just need to be creative more, innovate more, and probably come up with these ideas for 2014. Then take a look also the skill-based businesses, wherein the skills like engineers, architects, and other skill-based professions can now be converted and be translated into a negosyo concept also. So these are just some of the things that we need to see, plus the continuance of food-related businesses, the services, like an outsourced negosyo. So these are the things that have been increasingly on demand. Also franchising. But it's a very good thing to get into, but we have to be wary and be cautious about getting to negosyo by this year, 2014.
Okay. How important or essential is it for somebody starting a business, make that business out of something that they are personally interested in or personally like? Does it have to be that way? Because I also have a lot of guests who come on the show and say, "Oh, I knew nothing about pizza until I started my business." Which is better?
Well, it says, but we have to see the balance of both ends. Well, first, you get to have that passion. We always talk about passion in getting to a negosyo. And that negosyo concept will always flourish if you have that heart for it. Without it, I think even if the greatest chef or entrepreneur, it will not going to happen from the very start of the business. So what we can see right now, if you really tend to see that your hobby or your what do you like basically can be turned into an entrepreneurship undertaking and then go on. But you have to have those skills first. The technicalities. It's not about guts. Hindi pwede. Kailangan meron technical science also in getting into negosyo. You have to see that plans are well laid down, and then you see that you know exactly where the business will go in the next 2-3 years on a short term, even a short term basis. What are the things that you need, the resources that you need? Are you capable enough to handle all those things? And lastly, it's about your personal entrepreneurial competencies. I always tell people about, we may all have that mindset of an entrepreneur, but not all can get into entrepreneurship. No? So dapat yung competencies muna natin. Are we in? Are we fit to get into entrepreneurship? Are we up to a 24/17? Are we okay with doing the handy-manny type of things na lahat ikaw muna at the very beginning? And so on and so on.
But you mentioned that you have to know if you have the stomach for entrepreneurship. What are the qualities a good entrepreneur needs to have?
Technically, you should have the know-how of that business. Second, financially, somehow. No, not somehow, but basically financially, kailangan talaga yan. Kasi after all, we will always take a look at the bottom line of any businesses. It's where you see if your NIAT or net income or the profit or margin is okay versus your expense. And then third is syempre, how to manage things, the business operations itself. It's hard to see a lot of, that's the reason why some of our entrepreneurs, aspire entrepreneurs, doesn't want to get into it already. Because if you have the 10 checklist, and then your X is about 7 or 8, maybe you're not an entrepreneur in the making. You have to go out and probably find out where your passion lies. So better, I always tell people that's the recipe for disaster, if in case that more X than checks.
Right. Okay. But I suppose it's good to know yourself, right? I mean, you save yourself a lot of trouble and heartache.
Time, effort, your resources, everything involved in getting into negosyo. It's not easy to get into negosyo.
Okay, you're an entrepreneur yourself, and a successful one. What are the most useful tips you could give budding entrepreneurs when they're just at the beginning of starting their business?
Basically, it's 2F. So these are the things that I always tell people. No? If you really wanted a sustainable negosyo, the first F should be feel, and the second is also feel. First one is FEEL, and the second one is FILL. FEEL meaning to say, you have to get the pulse of the environment. If you're targeting, for example, a certain target or certain segment, you have to check and really study, evaluate, review if this particular market is aligned with your product or service. And then if you get the feel of it, then it has to be, that's the time that you get into and feel it by then. So feeling it is the second thing that you need to do after getting the pulse of the market. So that 2F will somehow give you an idea, and then go on with the technicalities, the business planning, the financial planning, the marketing plans, the operational, everything follows after the 2F you have identified. Okay. So that's basically 2F, feel and feel.
Right, okay. And if you have been able to get your business off the ground, what's the key to sustaining it?
Well, winning is a different thing. Championing a negosyo is quite hard to do. But basically, if you have started with a very good takeoff for your negosyo, might as well work on it. Study very well the competition, study very well the trends, what is happening in the country or even outside. Benchmark, network, develop a lot of opportunities, and then see where your business is heading in the next, at least in the short-term period. So by then, you'll be able to map out, create a blueprint, develop everything you need, and then what are the sources that is needed in order for you to stay in the negosyo. Tapos continuously innovate. That's the key word at this point. Innovation is sustainability. Without innovating any product or service, then you'll be up against bigger competitors who may be the one getting into the bigger pie of the market that you're into. So innovation at this point is very key. Whether it's a small business, a big business, you need to create intra and corporate entrepreneurship within so that the business will grow, the stakeholders will earn, and the profit will continue and flourish.
Okay, so innovation, the key to survival.
And sustainability.
All right, Paolo, thank you for shop talking with
Thank
us
you.
tonight.
Thank you.